Hello. Oh, there we go. That was Becky doing a stitching. Hello and good afternoon and welcome back to Crafters TV. Now it's 2 p.m. here in the UK. So if you're in America, it's 9 a.m. or maybe 6 a.m. depending on which coast you're on. So you're just perhaps getting up. So perhaps this is the first show you have seen with us today. Now this is a bit of a special Saturday. We're going to be focusing a lot more on our softer side today. So we are going to be, doing a lot of our sewing, and we've got a sewing craft along, our first ever softer side craft along. So I hope you can join us, and that's going to be at 6 p.m. or 1 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. Having said that, I'm just going to take a little side step, whichever way, that's my left or your right, whichever way you want it to be. And I'm going to just mention something that we actually launched yesterday. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this back in is because this has been so busy. Now, 35% of our total bundle stock has already gone. Now that is a lot for us on the first day. This is here to last for a good month or so, but like I say, we are 35% of the stock gone. So if you want the complete collection, now is the time to buy it, because as people start buying it and adding in extra paper pads or maybe the vellum pad or even the cardstock, then the complete bundle will disappear and you're then going to have to start making up your own bundles, and it's not going to work as well. Now this is our delightful daisies, and as I said, it's a complete collection. Oh, I think our graphics have gone a little bit funny on the screen. They're looking to be in some different language and definitely not English, but there we go. They will join us, they will catch us up. Ah, there we go. Now, this would normally cost you £110, I think, or $157. But today, you're going to get it for £99 or $129, which is amazing. But I think more importantly, you want to look at this little price here, this one here, £79.20 or $103.20 if you are a platinum member. I mean, we're talking £31 saving if you're a platinum member. Absolutely brilliant. But what are you going to get for this? Now, I'm sure I heard our Craig say this was one of his favourite ever paper pads. Now, I'm going to start with some metal dies. You're going to get your gorgeous borders. Now, this is a double die, so you get the outside die and the inside die, and it will cut out your cardstock, or if you want to, it'll cut into your cardstock. And all the time, we're focusing on this gorgeous, gorgeous daisy design. So you've got your spring border. Now, I was looking at this one, and because I've not got this collection myself yet, this is your spring accessories. And these, and the flowers, I think you're going to find are going to be such useful dies. They're the sort of accessories that are just the right size to be able to add to all your projects. You've got your butterfly, you've got your dragonfly, your daisy, your heart, and your flower centre. Really, really useful. Then we've got our dainty daisy, which I absolutely think is gorgeous. Put a few of these together and you're making a bouquet. So these will be brilliant for your pop-up vases if you bought those recently. Now, I love anything paper piecing, and to me, this has just been designed with paper piecing in mind. Look at those lovely open spaces. Make sure you've got your hold and release sheets, and then you can be paper piecing away to these. Maybe you're going to make it look a little bit more Gerbera-like, however you want to do, you can make those. Now we've got another sort of border one, but this is more of an edger. This is your daisy chain, so it's going to cut into the edge. Is it going to be on the bottom? Is it going to be on the top, or is it going to be down the side? It's entirely up to you. Absolutely gorgeous. And again, if you wanted to, you could be paper piecing, or you could be colouring, or you could be putting it over the top of your vellum. So we're going to look at those in a minute. Well, let's look at the dies before we go any further. This one is your blossoming daisy. I love this. So now these, when I feel these, they feel a little bit thicker than our regular thin dies. So this is going to go through your foam brilliantly. With your metal shim, you're going to be able to cut through some of your your fabrics as well. So absolutely perfect. So perfect for your flower forming, or again through your paper craft. This is what we were talking about earlier with the softer side, how you can use these dies for more than one purpose. But look at these, look at how you can add that shape And think of all the different flowers you're going to be able to create in there, just depending on how you shape them, what materials you cut them out of, and how you colour them. Then you're going to get this one. This is so pretty. This is Daisy Bloom. So you've got the gorgeous stamp, but then you've got the edges, and you've got it in 2 pieces. I was having to work that out. You've got this little edger that's going to cut this side off, or you've got the larger edger that's going to cut the rest of it out. And then it's up to you whether you cut it, you stamp onto your cardstock, or whether you know, have parts of it cut out. I do think it's lovely when you go over the edge, but then again, if you want it, you know, completely cut out, it looks beautiful. Again, another butterfly. We've got Hello You, and we've got some gorgeous stamps as well. So beautiful. Get your pens out. Are you going to be using your watercolours? Are you going to use your tricolours, those beautiful tricolour pens, or just your regular alcohol pens? And then the last one of our sort of bits that last forever is your 3D embossing folder. This is absolutely gorgeous. I love the 3D embossing folders. You can feel straight away, as soon as you pick it up, you know it's 3D. It just feels a little bit chunkier because obviously you need to change your plates. Then you can ink and colour, letterpress, sand it back however you want. Looks beautiful. Now, they're all the bits that are going to last forever, but so we're going to look at the consumables next. And then you've got your textured cardstock. Look at these colours. Now, this is just setting it off for your colour palette. You've got those gorgeous yellows, the greens, the blues, and of course you definitely need the whites because it's got the daisy-esque. So absolutely perfect. All of those. It's a bumper pack. It's really big. You've got so much in there. Let me just have to have a look, because like I say, I've not got this one myself yet. It is 24 sheets of your A4 linen. So yeah, 6 colours, 4 of each. Then I'll have a look. Should we have a look at the foam? So again, these are 9 by 12, and I love these. They're a little bit bigger than your A4. So you've got the 3 colours, 12 sheets of 4 of each. You've got the lovely green. Isn't this a really pretty green? It's a sort of, do they call it seafoam green? I don't know. Yeah, it's lovely. A nice pastel lemon, and again, the white. So all of these are going to make your daisies up beautifully, but you might be making snowdrops, you might be making, you know, all of the other flowers that you want to be doing in white. But remember, white foam colours beautifully if you do want to be doing different ones. Then you've got, I'm going to show you this, the 12 by 12 paper pad, 36 sheets, and you've got, I think it's going to be 12 different designs. But as always, they're double-sided. But look at the reverses. Aren't they gorgeous? So you've got the, what I'd call the detail. Now, if you look on here, that background paper is what's on the back. So it's almost like they've taken away a few of the layers. So if you want it all, you've got it there. But if you want it a little bit more muted, or you want to be able to put something else on front, you've got the you know, lesser design on the front. Look at these. They've got that gorgeous vintage feel about them. Look like they've been sanded back. They look like old wallpaper that you've just discovered behind that wardrobe that hasn't moved for 50 years. You know, got that feel about them. Aren't they beautiful? And the colour palette. Don't these go gorgeous with those that linen cardstock? Don't they work so well with your foam as well? Look at these, absolutely beautiful. But always look at that background paper, and then you'll see it on the back as well. And again, what I love about these is if you want to cut them down, you're not going to end up with big areas that you can't use. They fall into, you know, into quarters quite easily, and you know, always gorgeous. So every bit of this is going to be used. I'm just going to give a minute just to show you. Now, what I'm saying, your complete collection today is £99 or $129. This might be the bit that you're going to put extras in. Oh, look at the detail. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, as well as having the 36 sheets at 180 GSM on the 12 by 12, you're also going to have the 6 by 6. Now, if you look, they are the same full sheets. It's not like a quarter of the sheet cut down. It's the same full sheet, just reduced down. So it's a lot smaller. So if you're doing something where you're just showing a little bit of the paper coming through, you might want to use a 6 by 6 so that it's not overpowered by a large print. So you're going to get all of those. And again, you're going to get your 36 sheets at your 180 GSM. And then the last of the papers that I've got to show you are these vellums. Now, we've just backed them onto white to show you, because like I said, obviously very transparent, but don't they look gorgeous? But think about this. Look at how, I'm just going to grab a piece of this. Look at how pretty and muted that is. But if I grab some yellow paper, look at how that changes. Look at how it brings it to life by changing the colour. I think gold mirror behind vellum is amazing because it almost looks like somebody's put a light behind it. Yeah. It really pings through. So you've got all of these here. So I should have something here that will tell me. It tells me I've got 24 sheets and they're 150 GSM. Crafter's Companion Vellum is definitely a stronger vellum than you'll get in a lot of places. So it's going to be brilliant for your shaker cards. These are all vellums, it's just that I've got white behind so they look a little bit stronger, but you can see, look there. They're going to look gorgeous through your apertures, they're going to look absolutely beautiful. But just think and change what you put. So let me just grab the blue, where we put that yellow behind, look at what happens now.
Oh yeah.
It mutes it down if you put a darker colour behind it. So, you know, just have a play around and have a look at what you can be getting. I've got a couple of samples just to show you. Aren't these beautiful? Now, I told you these butterflies are going to be key ones, but look at these flowers. Now, our Nicole, who's made this, has just dusted them with blue because very rarely are flowers pure white. They might look white, but they've got that hint of pink or that hint of blue or hint of yellow. So just dust yours like that. And then, you know, as I was saying, with the vellums in here, you can see just to add that extra bit. Or just with the accessories, you know, using the border with the accessories. But I had to show you this one because it is absolutely gorgeous. Look at this with that 3D embossing folder. Absolutely stunning. Get your favourite mediums out, colour it how you want. This is one of those collections that you're going to turn to time and time again, not just for spring. I know it's got a lot of spring vibes about it, but you're going to use it so much. Oh, which one was your demo? Was that one yours? Was that one?
That one and the one.
And that one. Those Becky's cards. Ooh, look at you, Becky, the paper crafter.
I know, very exciting.
It's very exciting. They are lovely. There you are. I'm glad I picked those up and I didn't know. So if you, and the last bit that you're going to get, I didn't show you, is your ribbons. And again, the colour match is absolute. Look at that blue. They're just the same. Perfect colour match. Now, absolutely gorgeous. So you've got these, and as I said, £99 or $129, or if you're a Platinum member, £79.20 or $103.20. Now, I've launched straight into that. Our Rachel is really busy on the socials, getting it all ready and seeing who's there. So we have got Regina in from Buffalo, Eileen from Puerto Rico, Janet Boyd from Michigan, Laura Stevenson from Ontario, oh, that's in Canada. Sarah Brown, hello again, everyone. It's now 1 a.m. here in Melbourne, Australia. It's a very warm night here. Oh, yeah, you're in the middle of your summer, aren't you? Or coming out of summer. Lovely. Michelle Parsons, good morning from PA. Kirsty D says, hello, everyone. So does Anne from Chile, Arkansas. Lillian Quack says, hi, Becky and Corrine. And Michelle Parsons says, the B-side on the daisy paper is one of the best CC has produced. I have to admit, I think the reverse side of all of these papers are absolutely gorgeous. Very different, aren't they? Got very vintage feel to them. So we've got so many people here, and I'll clear up all this mess in a minute.
You have made a huge mess. You've made a huge mess over there. Yeah. I think it's because there's so much in that collection.
I know, there is. That's Becky. She's here with me today, but I did take the mickey out of her a few minutes ago because she made a huge mess on her counter too. If you could have seen her 5 minutes before we went live.
I don't think you could see me over the top of all the mess.
She just literally tipped all of the boxes out, I think. And so, yeah. So, Becky, hello. I launched into all of that, but you were still sorting out sewing machines.
I was, yeah.
So I gave you a minute to sort that out. Isn't this exciting? Saturday,
I know.
All about soft craft.
I know, and we're going from the basics. We're going to be talking about the builder blocks today, and we're also going to be talking about quilting, and later on we're going to be doing bags as well. So we're trying to encompass a little bit of everything. On the show, we've got all sorts of different builder blocks, but to start off, we've got the original, the OG, which is this one over here. This one has your key shapes. It's got your squares, it's got your half square triangles, and your quarter square triangles. And those are the foundation blocks. See what I did there? Foundation blocks of any kind of quilt. We've also got the Builder Block Plus, which is this one here, which has got your half square triangles, rectangle triangles, isosceles triangles, and also your rectangles in there. And these two work together or separately, but they do, you know, you put them together, you'll be able to make more designs. I'm going to start with this one first of all, and I'm going to show you what you're going to get. Now, these builder blocks, these two big boxes are different to the other builder blocks that you're going to see today. So the other ones have different shapes. So we've got key designs like Drunken's Path, Nautilus, Pineapple, all sorts of things like that. We've got all of those sort of key shapes for you. But these are your bread and butter. Now, just to give you an idea, have I got it round the right way? Yeah. That is an example of some of the designs that you can make from this particular box. Just some.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it?
There are so many. It will be one of those things that if you've never used our builder blocks before, you've never tried quilting, you've never tried sewing, this is the key thing for you to buy. This is absolutely amazing. It is a total game changer. When I first started quilting, I would cut things by hand. I would use a rotary cutter. When my mum was quilting, she was marking things with tailor's chalk and then cutting them with scissors because she couldn't use a rotary cutter. For those people who've already got a Gemini, for those people who struggle with a rotary cutter, or for those people who don't like the cutting bit, or for those people who don't actually have the time to cut everything, this is what you need, because you've got all these different shapes that you can put through your Gemini. You can cut multiple layers of fabric in a go, and you'll be able to get lots and lots of different shapes for you straight away. So in here you've got your little drawers. So I'll open them up so you can see what you've got in here.
Isn't it?
It is really well packaged. And you've got this little road map which shows you the sizes of all the shapes that you've got in here. Now I know Sarah writes on the actual box to show what shape she's got in there. I haven't done that, but they fit in beautifully in here. I haven't fitted this one in because I'm going to be using that and I want to remember which size I want to do. But that's what you're going to be getting in each of these drawers. You'll be getting all those different shapes to make multiple different size blocks in here. So you've got your half square triangles and your quarter square triangles in here, and they will all work together to create different designs.
As a non-sewer, when you're going, oh, you've got your half square triangles, your quarter square triangles, your isosceles triangles and your half rectangle triangle. Now, we were talking, I know my maths. That doesn't scare me, but it can sound a bit daunting at first, going, oh, you've got your isosceles triangle, you've got your half square triangle, your rectangle triangle. But they're just names, aren't they? They're really not as complicated as it sounds, because as soon as I just saw this bit on the side of the box, it was almost like a light bulb moment.
And you suddenly start seeing things. So where we talked earlier on about the alphabet builder block we've got over there, you're making all those letters just with squares and half square triangles. I don't actually think, you might have some quarter square triangles in there. I don't think you do in that one. But that's how you're creating it. And there's so many. If you think about patchwork, I always think of just, you know, a little square, lots of little squares all together, or maybe lots of little triangles all together. And they are like your basic things. But actually, when you start Googling and looking on Pinterest and all of those other sites, and you start seeing there are so many different designs that you can use making squares and triangles. For example, this is beautiful. Squares, half square triangles. That's it.
Gorgeous sunflower.
Yeah, but
it looks different. You get two different looks from when it's close and when it's far away. So luckily I can see both, because I've got multiple screens. So the one that's on the screen now is that far away, and you're like, oh yeah, how did you do that? But then when they come in on the close up of it, there you go, look at that. You can actually break it down and see, oh yeah, that's a square, that's a triangle, that's,
Really, really simple design, so effective just with those two different shapes. So that's why we say this is our bread and butter. So I'll show you what you're going to get inside the box. So not only will you get all of the dies, you're also going to be getting your little booklet. And we give you as much information as we possibly can in the booklet. And we talk about the grain line. So if you've ever heard me witter on about the grain line before, you're in luck, because I'm going to talk about it. So the grain line is to do with how fabric is produced. So fabric is, if you put it through a microscope, it would look like a piece of graph paper, because you have all these vertical lines and you have all these horizontal lines. The vertical lines are called the warp, and they are the strongest pieces of thread, I suppose. And then you have fabric or thread that weaves in and out of those straight pieces, those vertical pieces, and they go from left to right, and they're called the weft. That's how you can remember, weft and left. And they weave in and out. Now, when we want to cut fabric, you will see on patterns we talk about the grain line. The grain line is that vertical line, and that means that we want to make sure that that vertical line of our fabric is still going vertically. So it matters a little with these kind of shapes. It matters a lot when you come to curves. And if you're not too sure how your fabric is produced, where the grain line is, the easy way to look at it is that this is a whole piece of fabric, and then these side bits here, these are the bits that have actually been attached onto the loom. So I know that these bits are where the weft has come in. So I know that this bit going straight up is my grain line. That is going to be the warp. And the way of being able to check that, if you can't, is if you don't have this little piece, you maybe just have a little tiny scrap of fabric. This is probably a bit too small, but a small scrap of fabric and you're not too sure, you can give it a pull. So if I pull my fabric this way, there's not much give. If I pull it this way, there's quite a lot more give. And if I pull it this way, there's loads of give. And that's to do with how the fabric is laid out. So I know that that way, like that, is where my grain line is. And this way would be where the warp and the weft is. So I've had it that way and I was cutting it out, it would be incorrect. But you know, it's very easy to work out, especially if you're buying fabric new and you're not using little tiny scraps. So in here it will show you how to lay out those shapes in there, and each of those builder blocks that we're going to be talking about today are going to do the same sort of thing. Now as you flick through this booklet, it will show you all of the different designs that you can produce. Some of these you can make all of the different sizes, so you can make a 12-inch block, 8, 6, 4 and a 3-inch block. Some of them you'll be restricted because of the way everything is laid out. So for example, the one up here you can make everything, the 9 patch you can only do a 6, a 12 or a 3. Then down here you can make a 12, a 6 and a 3 here. And you'll see how to put everything together. It will give you the information as to how many of each shape you need to cut out and what sizes you need to cut out in order to create the design. And as we go through, here you'll see lots of different designs. As I say, there are so many different designs that you could be making using these shapes that you've got in this builder block, and we've got it in different languages as well. Now the Builder Block Plus works in exactly the same way. If I grab that one, so we've got the same format. We have got our different drawers with our shapes in here. We've got different shapes. We've got half square rectangles, isosceles triangles, and we've got rectangles in here as well. Now the great thing about these two collections, these two builder blocks, is when you go through your little booklet, you will see lots of different designs using that Builder Block Plus, but some of them, they require that original builder block in order to make this. So this one, for example, you need rectangles and you need squares. So obviously the squares come from the Builder Block Original and the rectangles come from the Builder Block Plus. But you start to see how by incorporating all of these different shapes, you can start making some really intricate designs. This one in particular, this is lovely. This pick and mix reminds me of sweets. It's almost like one of those Victorian tiles that you find on the floor in a hallway. Really, really beautiful. Now with these two sets of builder blocks, you could be making a different block and then putting them all together and making a massive quilt. There's quite often you get these quilter block a day things, and you work on a whole thing for a whole year and you make a different block each day. You could easily do this with these two and you've got no problem about cutting things out because everything's going to be using your builder block, going through your Gemini, you're going to be cutting multiple layers of fabric in one go, and it's going to make everything super, super easy. So what I'm going to make today is I'm going to have a go at making this one, which is called woven block, which uses the squares and the squares and rectangles. So I'm just going to get my bits and pieces out. So I need my rectangle, which I think is this size 1. I think I am just checking. I've already cut some out. Just checking it's the right size. Yeah, that's that one. So I'll put that to one side. And then I need my squares out of my original builder block. And I know that was that one because I didn't bother putting it back properly because I knew I was going to be needing it.
So these are almost like a network that build up together, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're so good. I went to a quilting shop a little while ago and they were doing a class. That's just me dropping them all on the floor. They were doing a class and one lady was saying, oh, I'm really fed up with cutting everything out. And I went, oh, have you ever heard of Gemini machine? And I said, look, you can buy this. And I showed them on the website. And I said, you can get this and you can just get your layers of fabric and line them all up and then run them through the machine and they're cut. They're all done. And she said, well, how long would it take? And I said, well, how big's your quilt? And she told me. And I was like, oh, 10, 15 minutes. And she was like, what? I've been spending hours hours cutting these things out. I've lost interest. I don't want to do it anymore. It makes a huge difference.
I'm sure
and it will mean for lots of people that they're able to pick up a new design, a new craft perhaps, but also pick up a new design that perhaps they wouldn't have done before. I always found curves very daunting, and I was never really that worried. I was never that interested in doing anything with curves. Then since I got the Gemini and I started using our builder blocks, I was like, I don't know why well, I do know why I was worrying, because if you cut a curve incorrectly, it will never join up with the other curves, but you don't have that problem with that. But even with these straight edges, these are fairly easy to cut, aren't they? Squares and rectangles, but they're fiddly.
But they can still go skew-whiffy, aren't they?
They can, totally, and they take time. And I'm more interested in the fun bit, which is the sewing, as far as I'm concerned. So
okay, I've got a couple of questions for you, if I can, while you're just running that through, because that's a good one. So Sandra says, correct me if I'm wrong, the grain line runs parallel to the selvage.
Yes. That's correct. So the selvage edge is the edge of the fabric that is effectively, this is a selvage edge here. This is a bit that goes at the side. So if you think if this is on a loom in a big factory, you've got all these threads running like this. Yeah. And then this is the bit here that's the side where it's effectively, this is the bit that's, you've got the weaving going in and out, and these are sort of held taut. So that is your selvage edge. But you may find you got a scrap of fabric, or you may have trimmed that piece off and you're not entirely sure. I think somebody said before, if you give it a flick, you can hear a different size, different sound on the flick. I always find it's easier to give it a pull, a gentle pull. So you can see a bit of stretch here. Yeah. Hardly any stretch there. Loads of stretch there. Oh, so that's how I remember to do it if I've only got scraps of paper. Perfect.
Michelle Parson said, I finally purchased the builder block set during a great sale in the fall winter, so this show is very timely for me. Well, that's what we try to do, especially with our craft alongs. Rhonda says, good morning everyone, love the builder block system. And Alison Jones on Facebook says, hi all, love builder block, started me on my quilting journey and gave me the confidence to design my own projects. And you know what? She's now a design team member.
Really?
There you go.
That's amazing.
From small, acorns,
small acorns,
and all that. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, there we go. But look at the price of these. You're saving 30% on your first, on the big one, and 25% on the sort of additional one as well. Oh, Rachel's put her builder block somewhere safe and doesn't know where it is. Oh, no. So safe she can't find it. Oh, dear, Rachel.
I sometimes do that with chocolate. I hide the chocolate from the rest of the family, and then I don't know what I've done with it. And sometimes I wish I was like one of those truffle pigs. I could just sniff out the chocolate. But, so yesterday we were talking about, I really want a pig. I'd love my own pig. And I was saying to Ben, you have to register with the council to let them know where you're going to be taking your pig for a walk. Because you're not supposed to be having your pig just in your garden. You're supposed to take it for a walk, but it has to be an approved route. All right. So you say, oh, well, look, I'm going to go down the high street, 150 metres and all that sort of thing, and they have to approve it. And then you're not allowed to deviate from your pig route. I think it's
Jamie says, why can you take a dog anywhere but not a pig? Yeah. I suppose what a dog leaves behind and what a pig leaves behind is different.
Yes. No, but I always thought it'd be nice to have a little piggy. So here I've just cut out a few of these little shapes. So you can see here, I'm effectively using, yellow is going, I can't quite see that, pull it down a little bit, you can see. Yellow is my white, pink is my pink, and then purple is my blue. So you can see how we're sort of building that together. So with these, we've already taken into account our 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, which makes it really super easy for us to sew these together. Now you'll see this a little bit more in the triangles. If I grab one of those triangle dies, let's have a look at this one here. We've got triangle die here, nice big one, so you can see exactly what I mean. Now, with triangles, obviously triangles have a pointy edge, pointy end rather. These don't have a pointy end, but they have this little piece that's cut off, and this is what we call our dog ears. So if we were stitching this, if I cut it out as a proper triangle, I would have this little piece of fabric at either end of this point. And after I've sewn it together, I'd want to trim that excess away so everything lies flat. But because we're using the builder block, because we're using these dies, we've already taken that off for you. So effectively, you're going to stitch from that point there all the way along. That's going to be your 1/4 inch.
And you know you've got the right border.
You know you've got it exactly right. And that is the beauty of this, because you're not going to have to worry that things aren't going to match.
Because when I just look at that then, I'm thinking 2 squares together aren't the same as 1 rectangle.
No, and
they're not. Because the squares have got that seam allowance built into them.
Yeah, you can absolutely see that. That's not going to work. But when we put them together, when we stitch them together, it will, as provided you use your 1/4 inch seam allowance, that's going to be absolutely fine.
And how do you know you're using it? Have you got a marker on your... I'm sorry, I'm asking a really basic question because I'm not a sewer.
I use this foot here. So hopefully you can just see that.
There we go. We went back 50 years into black and white.
I use a foot like this. This is a 1/4 inch seam foot.
Right.
So this is an ordinary foot, and so you can see it's completely rectangular. This one has a little, it's not a blade, but like a little piece of metal as a guide that goes up onto the right-hand side. Don't know my left or my right. And so when I run it through my machine, I butt my fabric up to that edge.
Ah, right.
And as it goes through my sewing machine, that is an exact 1/4 inch. So you can get lots of different feet like this, or I put a piece of tape on my sewing machine, so a piece of washi tape or something similar, and I will mark it on there where my 1/4 inch is. Or you'll find that you do have, don't think you can quite see, but on the plate, this is called your plate of your sewing machine, you do have some little markings on there. I don't think it really helps you because your fabric is further down the machine and you almost want a marking that goes down to the point here. So if I turn the machine round, you might be able to see a little bit better. So if I wanted to sew and I wanted to keep my 1/4 inch seam allowance, I would run a piece of tape down here so I could see exactly where I was. So where my fabric is always sort of lined up. But if you have a 1/4 inch foot, you don't need to worry too much about it. So that's what I'm going to use today.
Our Rachel, she's obviously not a novice sewer.
Yeah.
She says, is it just a universal low shank foot?
No, there are high shank foots as well and low shank foots. Most machines are low shanks. You just need to have a look at your manufacturer to work out what it is. This foot will go on any machine. It doesn't, because it's not... so this foot will go... Yeah, because as I take it off, I'm just dropping it off, and on this piece here, this is the shank here. This just clips onto the bottom of it. So you can use this with any machine. When we go a little bit later on, we're talking about quilting and we're using some of those rotating quilting pattern guides. That's when you need to change your whole foot and the shank to an embroidery foot. And you do need to look at whether it's a low shank or a high shank machine. So it's just to do with how much space is in between this machine from here to here.
Right,
that makes sense?
There we go. Lillian says, do you think you can't find your chocolate stashes because somebody else did?
You might be right.
I would not put that past Lucas at all.
Or maybe I've just been eating or not thinking. So my sort of New Year's resolution...
You've been sleep eating, haven't you?
I know.
You've been sleep eating in the night.
I think sometimes we do eat without thinking, don't we?
Oh gosh, yes.
You know, it's like if you've got a packet of crisps with you, your hands are just making that motion.
And then you go, oh, there's nothing left in this packet.
And I think when you're driving, that's particularly easy to do.
Driving is the worst time for me.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we all say that because we're all sort of driving a little way to get here. So I'm just going to plug my iron in. We all travel a little way, and I think one of my worst things is when I travel and I just, eat rubbish. Yeah. And then all of us sort of try and exchange ideas about the kinds of things to eat. And I do think, so I remember Debbie Fisher saying she eats sort of boiled eggs and some of those fish sticks as she's driving. And I remember thinking, I bet her car smells really bad when she gets out. Because, those type of things do smell. But I have started doing that, because pure protein when you're driving. And actually those two snacks are very good for car journeys. Yeah, very good.
Oh, the things we talk about, you wouldn't believe, would you?
Yeah.
Helen Bell says, I absolutely adore threaders and all the dies. Thank you, Helen. You know, they try to make them to make crafting more fun, more enjoyable, and that's what it's all about. It's not about stressing you out, it's about, you know, having fun. Michelle Parsons says, I have a magnetic seam guide that works great, and then I don't have to change feet as often.
That's a good idea.
That's really
I haven't got
good.
one of those.
Yeah. Carol also says, I have my builder block collection stacked in my craft room near my sewing machine. I got a bit carried away during the lockdowns and bought quite a lot. Carried away? Happy? You choose.
Yeah, I think happy. I think happy.
Yeah.
So I was just giving that a bit of an iron. So that is those are my two squares. So as you were saying about the rectangle not matching up, but
you
now
see
they
now
do.
it matches perfectly,
Yeah.
doesn't
So I'm going
it?
to pop my rectangle on here, and then I'm just going to stitch that again with my 1/4 inch foot, and then I'm going to give that another iron, and then that is the first part.
So if you were at home, would you bother pinning those together, or two small ones like that? Can you usually control it enough?
I think so. It's up to you. I mean, you know, anyone that watches me knows I'm a little bit slapdash. It depends. If it was something really intricate, particularly with points, you know, doing something with triangles, I would be more inclined to perhaps pin it or clip it. But with the squares, I think, you know, they're fairly sort of forgiving when you put them together, so I'm not really going to worry too much. So that is the first part of that builder block, and we need 4 of those to put together. As luck would have it, here I have 4 that I did earlier. So I just need to make sure I've got them in the right layout. So like this, then like this, and then, is that right? No.
Yeah, that looks right,
like
because you've got the
that,
L
and
then, haven't you?
Like that. So you can see that's how it's going to go together.
Yeah,
And
so you've got like the L shape, haven't you, with the pink and the
so
blue.
we're going to put those together, and I might do a couple of clips with this one because it's a little bit bigger. If only I could remember where I've put them. There we go. I tidied up. Jamie, what did you call me the other day? Scatty. And I thought, yeah, you're right, I am. I am possibly the scattiest person you will ever meet.
No, I just think your brain just keeps going on a different plane sometimes.
Yeah, scatty, I think is what you're trying to say in a really nice way, Corrine. Becky, you're mental. Crazy, crazy lady. It's all right, I don't mind. So again, we're just going to stitch these with your 1/4 inch seam allowance. All the way along. And if I was going to be making this at home, I'd probably be chain stitching everything. So for chain stitching, it would mean that I would be, you know, obviously you'd be working on a big quilt, you would be working on a big design, so you would think, actually, when I'm putting this together, I know I want to add lots of yellows with pinks in the little square. So I'll just do all the yellows and pinks, work out how many I do, just carry on stitching them all the way through and then cut them apart afterwards to save a little bit of time. But obviously with this, we're just doing it one piece at a time. And then we're going to do this one here, like that.
You're always checking, aren't you? It's worth doing. I can see why, because it would be so easy to stitch the wrong side to begin with.
And I think we've all done it, and it doesn't matter. You know, if you're just starting, you've stitched things the wrong way. I mean, if you've watched me before, I've stitched, you know, bags inside out, the wrong way round. We all do it. It's one of those things. Sometimes it's because I'm talking too much and I've sort of lost track of what I'm supposed to be doing. It's easy to do, and I just think it doesn't matter. You can give it a whirl, try it out, and then, you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't take any time to recut the fabric and start again. So that would be my recommendation. Just give it a try.
It's amazing how quickly it comes together, and I think the key bit is having those dies at the beginning to be able to cut out all of the bits together.
Yeah, it does make a really big difference. I think if you were doing a really big quilt, you could spend maybe an hour cutting all of the pieces for like a quilt to go on a bed, a double bed. In an hour, you could have cut all the pieces out that you could possibly need using the dies. Whereas if you were going to be cutting them by hand, you know, you'd probably have to give up a day, an afternoon to put them all together.
So those two pieces, I think, are the same, aren't they? And you're just going to rotate them around. If you turn that, look, you can see they're exactly the same.
That is your maths head, isn't it? That's definitely your maths head.
If you turn the top one, that's you can see they're exactly the same.
Yeah, so we've got them.
They are. Look, they are identical. Yeah.
Put those two together.
So you could break it down to that much, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, just sew a few of those blocks together.
Yep.
Just have a pile of those.
Yeah. So this,
I love the thought of, it's a bit like when we say you get, I was doing some applique dies, the animal applique dies last week, and I was saying how wonderful it would be to cut out loads of different heads, loads of different bodies, put them on the table and say to the children, make me a mystery animal or something.
Yeah.
But again, with this, I get the feeling that you could do something very similar, not with the children so much, but you could cut out loads and loads of shapes in your squares, your triangles, your rectangles, your half square.
yeah, and just start playing with them.
And then just try and build your own patterns up.
Yeah, absolutely you could. And that is a
And I
nice,
think that
that's
could
a really
come out
nice
really
idea.
lovely.
You know, you just choose your fabric palette, your colour palette that you're going to be working with, and then just cut loads of the different shapes out.
But even just to make it that big, and make 3 or 4 identical ones and then put them together, and you'd be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. It would work really, really well. So you can see how effective that is very quickly, and it looks more complicated. You
Looks
know,
like you've weaved it.
Yeah, and as it is, it's called woven block.
Oh, there you
So
go.
yeah, absolutely, that totally makes sense. Now, I'm very quickly going to have a go at trying to make this into a little bit of a cushion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of this fabric, and I'm just going to cut that in half, and I'm just going to add strips around the outside to create a sort of a pattern to go over the top of a cushion.
So they don't have to be complicated, do they? At all?
No, and I think actually a cushion is, if you've never made anything before, a cushion is the best place to start, because if you're going to use something like, you're going to make something like a top, it's got to be fitted, you've got to do all sorts of different things to make sure it's going to work. You're not, I'm not saying you're going to set yourself up for a disaster, but it is going to make things, you're going to make life a bit difficult for yourself. So I always think actually it's better to start off with something simple that you can actually, you know you're going to be able to produce and you're not going to have to worry about. It just makes it a little bit easier. And a cushion is forgiving. You know, if it doesn't work, you don't feel too bad about throwing it away. Oh, Nicola's saying that's the first thing she made in school. You put a mushroom on it. Okay. Okay, interesting. Let me trim that off.
Oh.
Oh.
Wow, she made a raincoat when she finished school.
That's impressive.
I'm impressed with that one.
Okay, maybe that's it. You always put a mushroom on your cushion. Maybe that should be your signature. You know,
yeah, mushroom on all of her items.
Exactly. I think the first thing I made was a drawstring bag for my plimsolls at school.
Yeah.
And I was about, I think I was about 8 when I made that. And I wanted one because I'd seen someone else have one and my mum was too busy. So I was like, okay, I'll have a go at making it. And it came out okay. My mum was like, oh, I'm quite impressed with that. You can start sewing your name tags on all your clothes, which is disappointing. Because no one enjoys doing that.
When I was little, all my dresses used to match my Tiny Tears dresses. Always, because my mum couldn't afford to buy clothes. My grandma was a very, very good seamstress. It stopped at my mum. I've made quilts yet, but not. And so my mum and grandma used to make all my dresses with rick-rack and smocking across there. And Tiny Tears always had matching ones.
Oh, that's lovely.
Out of all the little scraps. Yeah.
I think, and you think, isn't that funny how we say it's too expensive to buy clothes then, whereas now fabric is not a cheap medium. No. And actually, if you make your own clothes, I mean, it's a great thing to do, but you're probably going to cost you more to make them.
It must have been cheaper because I'm sure that's why it was done. But yeah, I can always remember. I can just remember a little green print dress I had, and Tiny Tears having a matching one.
Do you have any of them
She
left?
had different styles because I don't think I've got. No, I haven't got. I've still got Tiny Tears with her one eye. Don't know where the other eye went.
I always had navy blue. I was always dressed in navy blue, and my mum loved me navy blue and white. So nearly everything that I've any photographs of me, I look a little bit like Wednesday Addams because I'm all in these dark clothes, and I've got very severe fringe and very, very dark hair with plaits. So I was Wednesday Addams. Yeah, before it was cool.
So when I was really little, sort of out of the age when Mum used to make them. I used to have what I call my holly hobby dress.
Oh yeah.
And I used to love that. You remember the holly hobby with the smock with all the patches?
Yeah.
I had one of those. And then when I got a bit bigger, I had my Busby coat. Sort of great aunt once removed, knitted me this coat, and on every stitch it had a loop, and it was orange, and it was just this big ball of loops. Yeah.
Well,
the things we watch.
I think that sounds quite cool.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Oh, I'll have to find you that, Nicola. She's talking about the crochet cape I wore on my wedding day.
I have to say, I felt the same way, and I was thinking, oh, that sounds really nice. I like that idea. It was very nice.
It was my aunt's. It was absolutely gorgeous. I have got pictures. I'll have to get a picture and show you, Nicola. There you go. Right, we've got a few questions coming in. Carol Hodge says, she's definitely happy, because we said she got a bit carried away during lockdown, and I said carried away or happy, and she said definitely happy. Rosalind Russell says, I got my builder block systems in January last year, around this time during the sale. Have you used them, Rosalind? Or hopefully, if not, maybe Becky's going to inspire you to get them out and have a go. Jen Vincent, this is what we're hoping. Oh my goodness, this is making me want to get the builder block and then learn how to make quilts, lol. I think my husband would kill me if I did a new craft. I'm currently a paper crafter. No. New year, new craft. Yeah, telling you won a competition and you're getting one-to-one video tutorial off Becky, and just play these videos, and then, yeah, it'll be brilliant.
You could always message me through Facebook if you've got a question anyway. So, you know.
Message Becky through Facebook and say, thank you very much for my prize, and she'll message back saying, you're more than welcome.
Well done you, yeah, go do that. Let's
Congratulations.
Do that. So you can see
Lillian says, Crafters TV, there's not much room to go wrong on a cushion.
Oh, that is a Ben joke, isn't it?
Rosalind says, from when she bought them last year, I was a little ambitious on my first time out, but I was able to make the quilt. There you go.
Oh, send us a picture.
A quilt is only multiple cushions.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being over simplistic.
No, you are. It is absolutely that. And it's quite...
Nicola says I've been very philosophical. A quilt is only multiple cushion panels, just made lots of times.
Just as a year is only a collection of days.
Did you come here for the philosophy? There you go. Free alibi with every order, of course. Alison Lee said, must admit I don't sew. Well, you could sew. Now, I've got a couple of questions for you. Can you answer questions and sew, Becky? Right.
Yeah, I am female, I can multitask.
Michelle Parsons says, Becky, are you as pernickety as I am about the direction of your seams going the same way?
I'd like to say yes, and I am when I'm at home, but I'm not here. Mainly because I'm standing up to sew, and I'm not at the right level for checking everything. I have to be honest with you. And sometimes I'm trying to do it quite quick. And if you've ever had a go at sewing standing up,
it's an art form,
it's quite a challenge. It's quite a challenge. So I'm not. But I do like, when I'm doing something at home, when I'm spending a little bit of time, I do like everything to lie nice and flat. And there was a couple of times when I've stitched and I'm like, oh, just now, I was like, oh, that's not quite in the right place. But I was like, oh, there's not enough time. If I was at home, I would have stopped and I would have unpicked that and started again. Because things do lie better when you've got everything facing the right way. You know, ideally you want your seams, if we look on the back here, you can see where we've got this kind of twist here. That's not ideal. It isn't ideal where I've done that. What I should have done is made sure that that seam was facing down here, and that's what I would have done at home. But it's you know, you want... My mum is an embroiderer, and she always says the back of your work should be as beautiful as the front. My embroidery is never beautiful at the back. It's not often very beautiful at the front either. But I think you want the same kind of thing here, because you can see where that doesn't lie flat, where it's sort of twisted, it doesn't lie flat. It doesn't give a nice finish to it. But it's okay for now. But like I say, yeah, I would do it when I was at home, but not today.
I've heard that saying before. I was listening, not the last audiobook, because I get through audiobooks like a couple a week if I'm travelling a lot. And the penultimate audiobook I listened to, she picked up some embroidery and she actually said the back should be as pretty as the front.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a well-known saying.
Yeah, and I think if you look at some, so I collect sort of vintage pieces of fabric, vintage embroideries and things like that. So I've got some beautiful stuff from China, but I also have got some really lovely things that are sort of French embroideries from, not, I say vintage, you know, so maybe 50 years old. They're not massively old, but they are, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, I can't quite work out which side of the fabric is the correct one, because they're so pretty either way, and they're beautifully thought about. And I think then everything lies flat as well. You know, sometimes we sort of think, oh, you know, if you're embroidering something, you're like, oh, I'm over here and I want to be over there, and you know, you should be finishing off your sewing over here and then bringing your needle over here. But sometimes you're just like, oh, I'll just move it across, and then you've got all these crisscrossing threads on the back.
Yeah, I think that's where I go wrong. I have Katie Hartley says, is there a difference between the builder block sets? We'll go through that in a minute, but yes, you sort of, the first one we looked at, we'll look at again, and that one is sort of your more basics. It's got your squares, your original, your squares, your half square triangles, and your quarter square triangles. And then the second one we've got your rectangles, your isosceles triangle, and your half rectangle. So we'll go through them again because one's got a different discount on than the other. But I would say, as a non-sewer, start with the original, because with your squares and your half square triangles and your quarter square triangles are probably going to give you more to start with.
Yeah.
And then I think, am I right in assuming that the booklet in the original just uses the originals, but then in the others they refer back to the...
Well, and not in any of the others, but in the Builder Block Plus, it will refer back to designs that use the original Builder Block. So this booklet here is for the Builder Block Plus. Like for this one here, it does refer to those. But the other Builder Blocks that we've got, so we've got other shapes like bay leaf and pineapple and all those sorts of things. They don't cross-reference, no. But you can absolutely, you know, as you start using these, you will start thinking, well, actually, you know, if I use this with this, that would work. And do let us know if you've done something where you've mixed and matched, and that's really helpful for us and really helpful for other viewers. So do let us know. So there it is, a really quick cover.
We've got a picture come through from
lovely.
Rosalind. So if I can ask Jamie, I don't know if you found this, it's come through of her first quilt, and she says, I'm definitely a novice. I'm sure she's not. But Jamie, if you can find that while we just go through some more comments. And then Sandra's saying, yes, Corrine, each year we got taken to the fabric shop to choose the fabric for that year's dresses. Yes, my Tiny Tears also has one eye and no eyelashes, but matching clothes. You see, it must be an age thing, because my Tiny Tears always did. And Michelle Parsons says, sewing our own clothes is a family tradition. My great-grandmother was a seamstress who did alterations for a high-end department store. I still have the first electric sewing machine she used, and it worked.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Wow, that is amazing. Moira, I think it is, from Hamburg says, I'm so upset, just found my purple scissors sitting on the kitchen counter. Ugh. Someone must be punished. As we said this morning, your purple scissors, they will cross-pollinate. Don't be too harsh on whoever used them.
No, I think still be harsh. They've got to learn.
They've got to learn.
Ooh. But secretly you'll be all right.
That's the difference. I said don't be too harsh. Becky said do. Bernie says, I used to do this long ago and cut everything by hand. This looks so much better that I might just get back into it. Thanks for the demo. Once we've got through this, I'll also talk to you about a brilliant deal we've got on the Gemini machine as well, because if you are starting out, don't just buy the dies, you need a machine. So if you're not paper crafter and you're thinking this looks just right for you, we'll have a look at the machine as well. Michelle says, I will admit it was like nails across a chalkboard seeing you sew the seams in different directions. However, I do understand that standing and trying to do things on a time clock is a challenge. Yeah, we do. And Shadiah says, my grandmother sewed for her 12 children and so did my ma. She sewed for 12 kids too. As a picky kid, I had to learn how to sew because I gave my ma loads of trouble if my dresses did not fit right. I'm no sewist, but I can do anything you throw at me. Well, there you go.
Well done.
There you go. Well done. Do we have Rosalind's picture, Jamie? Oh, we can't. We're going to do it in a break and we'll sort it across. So, we've been looking at the original builder block, which you can see the details on the screen just here, $69.99 or $97.97, but your platinum price is going to drop down even more. That's got a 30% saving on. And the other one that we've been looking at today is your builder block plus, and that today is $74.99 or $104.96. Should be £99 as well. We've got a 25% saving on that. And if you got either or both of those, I think Becky's going to show us some more things
I've got a whole load of different samples here, so you can see the different blocks that we've got here. There's loads and loads of different designs that we're going to go through. So I'm just going to quickly flip through so you can see what the kind of things that you're going to be able to do. So we've got this one here. We've got these ones. So these are all using the original builder block. All these different designs are something that you're going to be able to do.
How different are these? I can just picture this quilt. I mean, yeah, what are those? About 8 by 8, 12 by 12?
12 by 12 these ones
are. So 12 by 12, you could make dozens of 12 by 12 squares and then stitch them together, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just using plain fabrics here, but I always think a quilt using all the same sort of tones of fabric,
yes.
Lots of different patterns.
Well, this is to show you that
really
to make them stand out, isn't it? It's not about blending in.
And you can
Aren't
see
they absolutely amazing.
I'm picking up groups of them because we've got so many. There's so many different designs. So these ones are using the original builder block, and then I'm going to find some down here. Where are you? Which are using the builder block plus. So these are using those half rectangle triangles.
Definitely look very different, don't they?
They do. That one's very similar. I think it's exactly the same, that one. This one with your rectangles.
Oh, I like that one. That's a bit different.
Ones with such larger rectangles. These ones almost like a kind of harlequin.
I was just about to say, I could see that coming up. It looks quite harlequin-esque.
They look really effective, these designs. Impressive. And they are so easy to replicate by using the builder block.
Board?
Yeah. I think I was working with John Scott on the other channel, and he came up with some amazing ideas for what these were called. Some, we were just coming up with silly ideas for all those different ones. And these are some of the other designs we've got as well. Now look at that one. It looks like it's curved, and it's just straight lines. You've just got your triangles. You've got half square triangles, quarter square triangles in that one. And that looks really effective.
Almost looks circular, doesn't it?
Very, very clever. So those were all these aren't all. These are a small snippet of the type of things that you can make. But I would absolutely say, if you've ever thought about doing a little bit of patchworking, the original builder block is the way to go, and you will be hooked. Sorry.
Absolutely. Coletta says, I made 2 crib quilts when I first got my builder block. Just used the squares, but the Gemini cutout was so fast and perfect. I have a friend with a new grandbaby on the way, should plan another one. What a personalised gift that would be. Absolutely gorgeous. Right, so you've seen the 2 boxes. So on the screen now, you've got the plus details, if that's what you want. So make sure you pick the one that you need, whether it's the original or the plus, or both together. So it's entirely up to you. But that platinum price is absolutely amazing. It takes them very, very close to sort of half price. Well, this one, the plus is at 60%, so you've got 40% saving. So absolutely brilliant. Now, we will be taking a break in a minute. Are we going to do the bags now or after the break, Nicola? She's gone. After the break. Right, we were going to do them, but we were just doing that demo. So we're just going to take a break because I keep telling you about our platinum prices. So let's hear from Sarah what it's all about.
Welcome to Club Inspire, the crafters' companion community where you can feed your crafty obsession. Join our fantastic loyalty club today and receive 20% off your first order. We'll also give you 250 points to help get you started. Other benefits of joining Club Inspire include exclusive special offers and discounts for Club Inspire members only, exclusive sneak peek previews of brand new product launches, and of course the Club Inspire community group on Facebook, where you can access exclusive content such as downloads, offers and inspiration, and of course you can chat and share your makes with other members. You'll receive 1 point for every £1, dollar or euro you spend, and the more points you receive, the more benefits you'll unlock. So what are you waiting for? Sign up, join the club and start rewarding yourself today.
I have to tell you, every single person works tirelessly behind the scenes, and I can't just give a shout out to one person, because for me it has to be John, Tracy and Jake.
Going to give a shout out to our backstage hero, and I'm actually going to say heroes. It has got to be our product coordination team. It's got to be.
Because without those three people, when we're on air, we wouldn't be able to function like we do. They make sure we have everything we need, right from the samples to the product to having a drink of water throughout the show. They really look after us.
You see us day in, day out, 7 days a week, live on TV. We're crafting away, we're hopefully inspiring you. Every single card, every single product, every single tool that we touch has come from product coordination. Those guys are the unsung hero. They're there making sure we have the products, we have the inks, we have the tools, we have everything that we need. We have the power to actually work our Gemini ranges. The smooth running of behind the scenes of Crafters TV is all down to our product coordination team.
Welcome to Crafters TV. With more than 35 hours of live shows each week, it's your home for all things craft. We shine the spotlight on new and innovative crafting products with live tutorials and demonstrations. Join our family of craft experts where fun happens every day.
One that was really funny, Ben. You did.
It was better than your I'm a gnome and I live in a caravan.
I am a gnome and I live in a caravan. Can we clip that?
Yeah. Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA.
Get creative and craft along. With our amazing deals, your next craft project is just a click away. Tune in live 7 days a week, or you can watch us on catch up at crafterscompanion.com, Facebook, or our YouTube channels. You can chat to us, craft along, and meet new friends by joining our online crafting community.
You entertain us, you give us a community to talk, in the chat. That wouldn't happen without you guys. It's like Crafters Companion is magical. There's magic here.
There's a show for every type of crafter, from first-time dabblers to full-time makers. Crafters TV, create every day.
Well, welcome back. Now, I know we spent a lot of time there talking about the build blocks, but I think it was really important, and looking at the comments that have come through, you're all absolutely loving it, and it's really sort of sparking your vision and wanting to go through these. Now, I have a question. So Lillian says, how do you cope with the volume of fabric if you make a great big double quilt, Becky?
So when you're putting it together, so when you're putting the top part of your quilt together, I work in things that are only about 24 inches square.
So that would be 4 12 by 12 blocks?
Yeah, and then you put those 4 together and then the 4 together. But obviously then when you start putting the whole thing together, you've got a large surface area. I would use a really big table. You want to use the sort of edge that goes around your sewing machine for your quilting table, and just be really slow. I would say just make sure you've ironed everything beforehand. I use our sprays to baste our fabrics together when we're doing our quilt. So we've got 2 sprays, one is a permanent adhesive and one is a semi-permanent adhesive. I used to put my quilts down, so you have your quilt top, you have your wadding, which is like that kind of fluffy stuff that goes in the middle, and then you have your backing fabric. And I used to sit there and put everything out on the table or on the floor and try and get the dog off it, and then put pins in it. No, put safety pins all the way over it. It was a nightmare. It was really, really difficult to manage. I found for the adhesive sprays, it makes a really big difference because everything's sort of pushed in, in the space. But yeah, putting it out on the floor, when you actually start to stitch it, just make sure you've got a really big table. And underneath you is clean. And you've not got a fluff or anything, because it will drop down onto the floor. It's tough with a big quilt. I wouldn't start with a big quilt. I'd start with something small. Maybe do like a little quilt that goes on the bottom of your bed, maybe almost like a quilt runner.
Quilts.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I would start with one of those and migrate up to a bigger item. They're just heavy as you start to work on something really big. And
Oh.
take it slowly.
Yeah, thank you. Right, brilliant. Now, we have got a couple of extra goodies to show you from yesterday. So we've got some mystery bags. Mystery bags because you just get a question mark when you look on the website, but we're going to share with you what you get. Now this is Leanne's Spectrum Noir pen mystery bag, and look at this, you're going to get 100 bonus points with this one. So I asked our producer, I said, okay, if it's £24, $36, what have I bought and what is going to come free? So Aunt Nicola's very carefully worked everything out, and this is what you're going to get. So you're going to get in your classiques, and everyone will get the same. Now maybe this is your first foray into alcohol pen colouring, maybe this is just a good chance to top up. You're going to get your brown grey BG6, your sandy B1, vintage pink AP3, rose FS1, bright orange OR3, and duck egg AB1. Take note of the names because you never know. Next week, Nicola might ask us what they're all called. I'm not scarred. Really, I'm not scarred, Nicola. You also are going to get, bless, she knows I'm only teasing.
Was that a quiz?
It was.
Oh,
It was
that,
a
I
play
would have done
craft day.
terribly on that, wouldn't I?
Yeah. Oh, she told it. Yeah, it was like, it would be, what colour is OR3? And the answer was burnt orange. We did poorly on that one. You're also going to be paying for Alpine Green AG4, Mint Blue, I can't see what that says, sorry, Mint Blue BT2, Eggshell FS8, Lemon LY2, and Brown Black EB8. So those are in your illustrators. So it's a really good chance for you to have a go with your illustrators because the nibs on these are amazing. The Japanese nibs on these are beautiful. And I very much believe that once you've had a go with your illustrators, then you don't go back. Now, that's what you're going to be paid for. That is £24 worth of pens. So you've got your 6 classics and your 5 illustrators. Absolutely brilliant value for money. If you're a Platinum member down there, £19.20, $28.80. But if you buy these as a bag today, then we're going to give you, for free, for no extra cost, we're going to give you your True Black Illustrator, which is going to be a key one that you're going to use lots. Then we're going to give you 3 of your tri-blends. So we're going to give you the dull green blend, the turquoise, blue turquoise blend, and the true blue blend. Now, as somebody that uses my tricolours a lot, those are really useful. I would say those are ones I have out all the time. So these aren't old colours that aren't selling.
Yeah.
These are really, really, and I'm not just saying that, these genuinely are colours that I would be using all the time. So like I said, you've got your dull green, your blue turquoise, and your true blue. So you're not paying for those. And what do these normally retail at each, Nicola? I can't remember, sorry, I'm putting her on the spot. Putting her on the spot.
I want to say are they about £4? Are they more than that? So
£3.49, so you're not paying for any of those or that lovely illustrator, and which is £2.49, and what you are paying for is your 5 illustrators and your 6 classics. So that makes up your £24 or your $36. But again, remember that platinum price. Now, that's not the only bag we've got. We've got a really lovely, nice collection. So we have Ben's Bonanza bag. So this is brilliant. Now, the value on this one is through the roof. So look at that, £28 or 120, I can't see from this, £128.91 or $153.59. But today, you're paying £30 or $40. £30 or $40 would buy you those two. It would buy you Lovebirds and Nouveau Roses. Now, Nouveau Roses only launched a couple of months back. So again, we're not talking really old stock from the back of the warehouse. We're talking really quite current and up-to-date things. You could buy those two for £30 or $40. Brilliant. You might want them to top up. But what we're also going to give you is Joyful Wreath. Really useful one. I know it's Christmas, but think of your autumn and your spring. I love an Easter wreath. You might want that. Dancing Dragonflies. That would go well with your Daisy collection if you've just bought that. You're going to get your Nativity of Light. And remember, you're not paying for any of these. You're going to get your Interlocking Circles, which is a cut and emboss folder. So that is really good. You're going to get your Queen of Hearts, again, which is a little thin line, again 3D embossing folder, really, really useful. We've not finished yet. We're going to get your From Me to You, which is from your Twist and Pop. So yeah, really useful present design, even if you haven't got the Twist and Pop. And wow, these are £24.99. Elegant Fairy. This is one of our 3-in-1 dies. So you can use the outer die, you can use the inner die, or you can put them together. I'm sure those are £24.99. I'm pretty certain they are. I might be wrong because that was me making that one up on the top of my head. But I have a funny feeling they were. £15.99, all right, okay. But it's still good value, still good value. But all you're paying for is 2 items. That is brilliant. Again, if you're getting this as a Platinum member, you're only going to be paying £24 or $32. So it's not even as if you're paying for both of those. Now, we have one final bag I'm able to share with you today. And this is all about, this is the Ultimate Sharon Callis mystery bag. Again, oh, that side, 100 mystery points, bonus points, sorry, 100 bonus points. So your price to get £30, $36. Again, it's going to drop down. If you're a Platinum member, £24, $28.80. Now, what would you be able to buy for your £30 or your $36? You'd be able to buy your Tea Rose and your Aster, which is absolutely gorgeous. Your Aster is a stamp and die set. It's all about the fairies. Absolutely beautiful. And that would be your money's worth for your £30, $36. Again, good value. You're going to be able to make gorgeous cards with your fairies on, maybe make some 3D flowers. These are really easy to make because they just roll up. They're sort of like your quilling style flowers. Perfect. But this bag is actually worth £152 or $182.
Wow.
I know. And you're paying £30.
That's great.
So, what's that?
Can I go get my phone so I can place an order?
80% saving. Yeah, because you're paying basically 20% of the original price. Yeah. And you're also going to get free. Oh, don't forget your 100 bonus points. Because you think to yourself, I would normally get like 152 points, but I'm only going to get 30. But we're going to give you that, so you're getting 130 points. So it's almost like you're getting the full points, which is really clever. So you're going to get your succulents, really useful. You're going to get your orchid. Again, these are all in your quilling style. You're going to get your Lila China. Don't know that one very. That's sort of a succulent. You're going to get your champagne rose. Now, I was using that just the other day. I really was. I love this pot. This is your plant pot. Good size pot. This is 4 by 4 inches, so really nice size pot. You're also going to, out of the fairy, no, this is out of your frames. You've got your happy birthday, which these cut out the aperture and then cut the sentiment in the middle. You're going to get your sending blessings. You're going to get, there's a couple more to go yet. You're going to get your thank you. And you're also going to get your thinking of you. So all of those, all of that, you're getting effectively, if you buy this mystery bag, you're not paying for any of those. You're just paying for these two here. Unbelievable value for money, absolutely not to be missed. If you are thinking it's time to build up my crafty stash, I've not got many dies yet, I'm still on my crafty journey, then this is the time to do it. So you've got the Sharon Callis bag, you've got the Ben's Bonanza bag, and you've also got Leanne's Spectrum Noir bag. Now, you're not going to get them in these fancy bags, you're going to get them in, just come in the box, but we've put them like this for you today. So remember, on some of those, you're going to get your bonus points as well, but on all of them, you're getting bonus points on all of them. I think I missed it out on Ben, sorry. But the price, I mean, £24, I think all of them come down to. So absolutely amazing, amazing value for money. Okay, we've got a few more really good deals. Now this one, I was like, is this right? Is this right? So this one here, this one is the 50% saving. This is your Builder Block Designer Collection. And I'm sure our Becky's going to show us lots about this. So what you're going to get is, you're going to get your Builder Block ones. So you're going to get like 5 multimedia designs in these. So yeah, you're going to get everything. And this is going to give you the dies and the instructions to make 3 projects. But as Becky was saying, once you've made these 3 projects and learn how to use these dies together, then you're going to go farther. So you're going to get Eastern, Bejeweled Delights and Catherine Wheel, which must be that one. So if you pay for those three, if you buy them within this bundle, so each one is going to show you how to make 3 different projects, different design build block elements, and oh, showed you Eastern and Catherine Wheel. I love that one. That's really clever. You're effectively getting these for free because it's 50%. So instead of £199, you're paying £99 today. You're going to get Compass Gem, Windmill, look at that one, I love that one with the circular, and also geometric arrows, and each of these are going to give you 3 different projects to make on those. But look at the platinum price, £79.20. That is as if you were paying, you're getting a 60% discount with your platinum price. So that is really, really amazing. But I had to show you these ones. Please, I said, please let me show these ones. These are our builder blocks. So this is a 3-pack deal. So this is like your builder blocks, the starter ones that Becky had earlier, but these are in a different sort of kit form. So this is going to give you, these are called inverted squares and medium curved borders. So in this bundle, you're going to get, let me find where it was called. This is Rob Peter to Pay Paul. Now you're going to save over 70% here. Rob Peter to Pay Paul. You're going to get Bay Leaf, which is absolutely gorgeous. Look at this in there. And you're also going to get Winding Ways. Now, if you were to buy these individually, that is £179 or $269. Brilliant value, because when you think of what you can do with that, that is amazing. But we're going to give you 70% of that, making that £50 or $76. Really, £50. We're talking, what's that then?
Well, don't look at me, I'm not Carol Vorderman.
£16.50 a box. £16.50 a box, just over. Absolutely amazing. But if you're a Platinum member, we're talking £13 a box. £13 a box for those. Wow, absolutely beautiful. Now, what would I be making with these, Becky?
Well,
I can see you
I've got
sorting
a few samples here, so I'll show you what you can do. So this one is a Rob Peter to Pay Paul, I think. Just remembering, yeah, this is Rob Peter to Pay Paul. So these are a couple of different designs here that you've got here. So it effectively is like this inverted kind of square with the sort of bay leaves around it.
I love the circle effect around it.
It does make a circle. I mean, you can't see it massively with just these small samples, but you can see by using the different colours, different parts of it pop out. Now this one is Winding Ways. So this is slightly different. I call this Star Trek. It looks like a Starfleet symbol to me, and no one will know what I'm talking about until I show you that. And you can see that looks a bit like Starfleet symbol, you know, on the little lapels, you know what I mean? So these ones are slightly different in comparison to that other main builder block, because you can only really make one particular design, but by using the colours in a different way, you can make it look very different. But it's actually the same shapes put together in exactly the same way, it's just different colours. This one's slightly different because you've got smaller pieces that are put together, but it looks really effective when you're sewing them. And then they're very, very simple, obviously using a square in the middle of that one. And then the next one we've got is your bay leaf, which is this one here, which is more of a kind of a traditional design with that bay leaf shape. So it's almost like an orange peel. So you could use it.
That's lovely.
If you just wanted to use these shapes as petals, you can absolutely do that. Rather than using it as patchwork, you can use them as applique shapes. That's the same pattern, but again, using the different fabrics in a different way. So you've got this kind of petal shape here, and then you've got these other pieces that sort of create that little square around there. But you can see by using the colours in a different way, again, it looks very, very different. So that's the one we're going to use today. when you get your little box, it comes out, it looks like, they're similar to the other big boxes that we've got, but it's almost like a library of information you're going to be getting in here. They're taller and thinner.
Brilliant way for storage, aren't they? You haven't got to worry about storage at all.
No, and do you know what Leanne said to me? When she's working on a project, she just opens up the box and she puts all her cut pieces in there.
Yeah.
So they don't get misplaced. And I'm thinking, why have I not thought about that?
So
that's
if
what
you
I do now.
overcut, because that could imagine it's quite easy to overcut when you've got dies.
And actually you probably want to, because there will be times when you stitch them together and the sewing machine chews them up and you have to throw them away. You want to have a few extra. You might drop one on the dog eats it,
Yeah.
You will get chocolate biscuits, chocolates all over it from the chocolate biscuits you're eating. So always cut extra. But even when you're starting stitching them together, you can pop them in here and keep them all in place. So once again, you've got all those different shapes. I say all the different shapes. There are only two shapes. There is that right-angled edge, and then you've also got that shape of the petal, and those are the only pieces you're actually going to use. Again, in different sizes, so you've got large, small and medium.
They call it a corner die on the box, don't they?
Yeah. So when you get your little booklet, you will see, again, we'll talk about the grain line like we have done before, ensuring that you're cutting everything to your grain line. And it was particularly important when you come to this one, because you're going to be using your right angle triangle, and you want to make sure that that's straight. So that's that right angle corner. So you want to make sure that that's sitting straight on your fabric rather than at a funny angle. And with these curves, you want to make sure that that curved part is going diagonally across. So you've got that bit of stretch in your fabrics, but all that information's in here. And then as you go through your booklet, you'll be able to see you've got all of your different designs in here, whether you're going to be using lots of different shapes, lots of larger shapes. I'll hold it up here so you can see a little bit better here, all those different
You put them together,
patterns.
it's amazing what difference you can get.
It's so effective, and you're just using these two shapes, but just by putting these different fabrics together, different colours together, you get all those different designs, so it's really effective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start running these through the Gemini. So I've already pre-cut some fabric, but I haven't actually done anything with it. So all I've done is cut it out roughly in the right kind of size, and then I'm going to run it through my Gemini. So I've got a piece for doing that corner part, and then I've got some other fabric here for doing that centre part here, that petal. So 2, 4, 6, 7. I've got 8 layers of fabric.
I was supposed to say how many layers, it looks a lot.
Yeah, 8 layers, that should be fine. It does, we say 6 to 10, I suppose, with the fabric that you're using. But these are our deep dies, these are our multimedia dies, so they should, they are meant to cut through multiple layers of fabric. And you could imagine if you're going to be cutting these by hand, if you're going to be using a rotary cutter to cut these curves, it's going to be quite tricky. It's going to be quite tricky to be accurate. And it's really key when you're working with curves to be accurate, because otherwise nothing works, nothing sort of matches up.
I think that's really key, because Alison says, brilliant deal for the curves. They really make a difference, not only for cutting, but also sewing. I was so scared of sewing curves until I used these.
I completely agree with you. I would never have ever dreamt of doing anything like this, because there were curves, and the curves were just too difficult. So I completely agree with you, and I did exactly the same. And now, I just sort of think, oh, well, if there's a die for it, it'll be fine. Easy. So again, we're going to be using our clear plates, our metal fabric plates. So metal fabric plate, fabric with the die facing down and some tape, and then your metal plate over the top, and then your other piece of your clear plate over here, and run it through your machine.
Everybody's loving these. Lillian said thank you for the advice. That was about the large quilt. Sonia said, love the builder block. Never thought I could do patchwork, but with the help of these dies, I've done a couple of projects. Laura Parker also loves her builder blocks. Oh, Rosalind, she says, I've just realised I have the plus system, need to get the basic system. Why not? We've got a brilliant deal on it. And, Mariah is saying, this show is getting me in the mood to quilt.
Oh, do it.
I'm so glad. This is what we wanted. New year, new craft. If you've not tried quilting, or maybe it's lapsed, then this is the perfect opportunity to do that. While you're unpicking, Becky, a question. Becky, you showed Bonder Web on the first show. Does Crafters Companion sell it?
We don't. No. But you can get it. You can get it online. Yeah. I just we sell a spray adhesive, which is brilliant. But I think I find if I'm using something very small, I find a bit of Bonder web is a little bit easier, and particularly when I'm in the studio, because we don't have a lot of, you know, there's quite a lot of lights and everything. It's quite hot in here. I'm not keen on using the sprays unless you're in like a well-ventilated room. So that's why I tend to use the Bonder web quite often, but we don't have that. We don't sell that here, unfortunately. So these are the shapes that we've got. Well, they don't look like they're going to work, do they? They don't look like they're going to work at all, because...
Oh, look. Jamie, you should hear what goes on in our ears. So Becky goes, doesn't look like it's going to work. And Jamie went, well, with that attitude, it's not, is it? Becky, that told you.
It did, didn't it? Right. I know where I stand. I'm just looking for a black pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of our heat erasable pens. I'm going to take one of these first of all. So basically, the way we want it to look is we want corner pieces like that, like that. That's how we want it to, well, not like that, we want it to look like it's meant to be. So I'm just going to put that to one side. I want to use one of each of these corners here and this piece here. I want to fold this in half, so I'm matching up those pieces, and I'm going to finger press here, and then I'm going to mark that with my heat erasable pen. So these we've got on that special...
Oh, that showstopper. And, oh no, it was the holder that you had them in that are in the deal with the Gemini machine.
And we're doing the same with these pieces here as well. Now, the heat erasable pens, you absolutely can use them for papercraft as well. So if historically you're going to be using something like a pencil to mark something off, you could use your heat erasable pen, and then you could just use your heat embosser, or you could just use a hairdryer, and you could just waft that over the top, and that will make that disappear. Obviously, if you press down really hard, you might get a little bit of a mark, but you would have that if you were going to be using a pencil anyway. So what I've done is I've marked halfway points on both of the corner pieces and also onto that central piece, that piece that's a little bit like a petal. Now, what we want to do is we want to measure up where those halfway points are, and we want to put those pieces together. Now you can attach these together with a pin, and then we would then put this piece across to here, and we'd attach it all with pins and then stitch it. But I don't like using that. I like using glue because it's quicker.
That looked really complicated.
It's not. It's just it just takes a little bit of time to doing with pins. I think is really complicated, so that's why I don't do it. I'm going to do this first half here, so I'm just going to use some of our textile glue. So this I think we've got on the show as well. I use this all the time. I think it's brilliant. I use it all the time when I'm going to be adding a zip to something, because it stops the fabric from moving when I'm using the zip. But I just think it's a brilliant item. So matching up, what I will do actually is just mark on the other side where that halfway point is. So I'm going to find that halfway point. So you see a halfway point here and halfway point here, and I'm going to pop that and just press it down. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece here at this point, and I'm going to attach those two pieces here.
There you go. Textile glue is there on the bottom if you're after that.
And then I'm just pinching and teasing those curves together. Pinching and teasing, that's what we need to do. If I ever open a shop, I'm going to call it Pinch and Tease. I'm going to sell tea, cups of tea.
And cake.
And cake, because you're going to pinch the cake to make sure it's nice and moist, and then you're going to squeeze the tea bag out. That's what you're going to do. So we've done that one half here, and we're going to do this other curve here, this other half. So I tend to not do all of the gluing at the same time. I would glue one half first of all, one side, and then I will stitch it.
It sticks, and then you...
Yeah. It doesn't take very long to dry, actually. It's quite quick, and it's not going to gum up your machine. So you don't need to wait for it to dry before you sew it with your sewing machine. So we're just matching those corners.
Just remember, that's not tacky glue in there, even though the bottles look very similar on the side. And I wasn't really using that glue the other day when I was working, wondering why my tacky glue wasn't sticking.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah.
I don't know what it's doing here. If it was over there.
It's been there
Maybe it's
since
something I've
Christmas.
left here. Maybe it's something I left. Because I normally take mine with me. I know Leanne was using it for, she was repairing a zip that had come off on the dog crate, and she just glued it together. and it works really well. So I've glued that together, I've glued that curve. So we've matched up those curved pieces. So those are the bits that we've put together that didn't look like they were going to work. And now we're going to stitch it with the sewing machine. So it's not going to gum up your machine. It works really well with your sewing machine. Again, you're going to use your 1/4 inch foot or 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I find I like to lift up my curve as I'm going around. I just find it gives me a little bit more, it makes it a little bit easier for me to stitch around. Because you're stitching on a curve, so don't go too fast, take your time.
Yeah, I think that's what I've ascertained from quilting. It's not about the speed.
No.
It's about the precision, and the results are phenomenal. So it's, yeah, you're going to get faster as you get more experience, but it's not about speed to begin with. It's about enjoying the process and making something that looks amazing.
And it doesn't, you know, you've minimised the speed or the time it's going to be taking by the fact that you've actually cut everything with a Gemini. So that makes it nice and easy. So now we've stitched around here. So I'm just going to fold that back. I'm going to finger press that, like that. So it's all out of the way. So this is when, so if you put too much glue on there, so you saw when I was putting on the glue, I wasn't putting very much, but if you do put too much glue, you want to sort of be able to open up, you want to be able to stitch it together and then open that up as quickly as you possibly can. I'm going to have that facing this way actually, because you want to make sure it's a nice smooth curve. So that is that one curve there. So we're going to do the other side in exactly the same way.
You can already see the square, can't you?
But obviously, because I've used my heat erasable pen, I've lost that halfway point. So I'm going to have to go back here, find that halfway point.
Oh, you didn't even notice that it disappeared. Yeah,
it goes very quickly. And as I say, if you've got something that's very delicate or you've got something that you're worried about the heat, you can just use a hairdryer on it rather than using an iron. So once again, we're going to use a piece of glue. You know what I mean, a little squishiness of glue down here, halfway across. And I'm only doing a little bit down here to that point.
It's about breaking down the shapes into usable components, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you might look at those and initially no, I just can't even begin to do this. But you take two of the corners, put it over one of those, oh sorry, there's me leaning, put it over one of the ovals and you've suddenly got a really nice decorative square. Yep. But that's easy to then sew with, or easier to sew with. She says like she knows how to sew really well.
You do know how to sew. So you say you don't know how to sew. We were talking today, you made a quilt and she makes her clothes and you're like, oh yeah, of course you don't know how to sew.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want anybody to inspect my sewing, that's the difference.
I wouldn't want my mum to inspect any of my sewing ever.
I made a Roman blind, that's still up actually.
Oh, okay.
But again,
that's impressive.
Please, but don't get too, that's surprising.
No, impressive.
Oh, that's surprising. That's in my spare bedroom. And from a distance, it looks okay. It could do with being a couple of inches longer. I've washed it once and it could have done with being a couple of inches longer. But it's fine. Okay. We only have somebody sleeping there about 3 times a year.
That's all right then, that's fine. So I'm going to stitch around here in exactly the same way. And this is all you're going to do with these shapes. So it's exactly the same. For all of these different shapes, you're just doing that curve, that petal piece in the middle, and those sort of curved corners on the edge. So again, I'm going to lift it up because I just find it a little bit easier. I don't know why, it just makes sense to me to lift that up.
Oh, we've got some questions. So Laura Parker says, oh my, CC fabric is absolutely wonderful to work with and very high quality. It always looks it when I see what you're making. Absolutely gorgeous. Rachel says, I might try this gluing method on the next threader's bunny I make.
I saw your bunny. I remember seeing your bunny. Your bunny looked brilliant. The glue is such a good thing, and I'd never had textile glue before. I'd never really sort of thought about using it. I'm so glad that I have because I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I really, really like it.
Alison's also says, glue method definitely the way to go. Yeah. Oh, now, idea. Yeah. Laura Parker says, for large quilts, my sister opens up a ping pong table and says it works perfectly.
That's a clever idea, because then they just fold away, don't they, afterwards? That's a great idea.
Yeah, like that one. Or we used to have a false MDF top that we just used to pop onto the dining table when my mum was sewing.
That's a good idea.
That was big, and then that used to, I can't remember where she used to put that, but yeah. Now look at that.
So you can see you've done that And that's that it takes very little time in comparison to getting a piece of fabric, using that and cutting around here and then cutting around there, and that's slightly out. And you do know, because you've got these pieces, because they've been cut out with your die cutting machine, whilst when you do that, it actually looks like a little gnome hat, doesn't it? A little gnome's face, an alien gnome with his little hat. And then as you stitch it together, just adopt that wave. You just use halfway, and you do that in exactly the same way with all of the curved pieces. So even if you're going to be using one of the designer sets that we've got with the builder blocks, and you've got things with curves, it works in exactly the same way. You fold the curves in half, you mark the midway point, you do the same with the other piece, and then it will all come together. And I just find putting a bit of glue on one half first of all, sticking it, and then doing the other half is the way to go. If you put glue over the whole piece, it just becomes a little bit unwieldy and a little bit difficult, and you might end up with a little bit of glue coming on the front of your fabric. But you can see that's really effective, very, very quick, and you can start making things like this in no time at all. So
yeah, because there's your square look, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's what you've done. You've done these pieces here. And do remember, you can, of course, use these. You could cut these out of fabric and then use them as a plique. So you could create a beautiful pattern of a flower.
Oh, yes.
You know, you could do these in different sizes. You could maybe make a sunflower overlapping with all of these.
Yep.
There's all sorts of different things you could do with that particular one. That's just your one bay leaf. So you've got 3 in this pack. So it's really good value.
Excellent, I love that. And the fact that you've got your seam allowance built into all of these is absolutely key. Rosalind says, I might as well get a new rotary cutter while I'm at it. Did you see our bundle? Did you see our bundle with the rotary cutter and the guide and the cutting mat? Because you get the rotary cutter for free, just remember. So just remember that, so go and look on the shop the day. Now, I want to show you something that we've sort of mentioned in passing, but not covered too much. Now, there are 2 different item details for this. You're going to get effectively exactly the same thing, but one has got the UK voltage in and one has got the the US voltage. So what you've got on the screen there is the UK voltage, I believe. Yeah, so if you want it, I don't think, if you're in the US, I don't think you can order the UK one, and if you're in the UK, you can't order the US. So, but I just want you to know, so you're going to be getting your Gemini machine. Now, our Gemini machines retail at £179.99 every day of the week. That is our usual price. So you'll still get your Gemini machine, you'll still get all of your plates, you'll still get all of your normal Gemini freebies that come with it. But in addition to that, you're also going to get, and what you've seen our lovely Becky use today, you're going to get your fabric plates. Now, these are much thicker than the fabric cutting plate, the fabric shim that you get in the machine. So you'll end up with 3 effectively metal plates. One that comes with this machine as standard, and then your A and your B fabric plates. So you're going to get those. You can see they're much more robust. Now, they are consumable to a degree, so don't think you'll never need to change them. Depends how much you use them. You'll also get your tool tidy. Now, I don't know if you noticed on Debbie's desk, I did it again, Becky's desk, she has been using her tool tidy to keep all of her things neat and tidy. I'm so sorry, Becky.
Honestly, I quite like it, so don't worry.
We've got our zip on a roll, and I will get Becky to explain that in a minute, because to me, I can't work out how many, they must give you more than one zipper, and I'll let her tell us all about that in a minute. You're also going to get some threaders felt. Now, I love this. This feels like a really good quality felt. Look at the colour. Look, I'll do it that way. Look at the colour range in this. Aren't they absolutely beautiful? Now, you're going to get this regardless of whether you're buying it in the UK or the US. You're going to get this little thingy-majig. Okay. This is she's going to tell me, the binding tool. Thank you, the binding tool. It's not a miter tool, it's a binding tool. There you go. And we're also going to give you a multimedia die to get yourself going. So this is our cute cupcake. Now, I used one of these on my show last weekend. I used the butterfly one. So you can use them with your mount board, you could use them with your fabrics, you could use them with your felts, you can craft metal with these, because these are your brass multimedia dies. Now you're going to get all of these bits here for no extra money. You're going to get those for free, absolutely for free. So I think there's probably quite a lot of value in there. I don't know the exact value of those pieces alone, but that, oh, I should do that. You are saving £102.92 if you're in the UK, or $133.68 if you're in the US, and you had worked it out. So all the difference is, in the UK, you're getting the UK voltage, in the US, you're getting the US voltage. So it's same deal, same bundle, but just make sure you get the right one. So yeah, absolutely amazing deal. So don't go buying your builder blocks if you've not got a die cutting machine to cut them out with, and this one is going to cut them out perfectly. You've seen Becky, 8 layers of fabric she was going through in the Gemini using the fabric plates and the 2 outside cutting plates, and it worked absolutely perfectly. So if you are in the market for a machine, then that is the one to get. And remember, once you've got that, you'll be able to use it for your paper crafts as well, because unlike scissors, we don't have to say just one or the other. Now, I'm going to take us right back to 11 o'clock this morning. So that's nearly, 5 hours ago? 5 hours ago, when we started with this show-stopper deal. And this really is a show-stopper deal. Now, right down there in that corner is our builder block, and it is our alphabet and numbers die set. So this is making up your alphabet and your numbers from your dies. Absolutely brilliant. So you're paying for that because that's $69.99. That's $69.99 every day of the week. But what we're going to throw in is we're going to throw in our quilting pattern guides, and we're going to give you medallion, jewel, heart, geometric wave. We're going to give you the other one, decorative petal, and we're going to give you 2 packs of the heat erasable pens. So you are effectively getting £188.91 or £252.55 worth of value, but you're paying $69.99. You're getting 8 items for free. So you're saving £118 or $162. If you are into quilting, then this is an absolute must. And as Becky explained, and I'm sure she'll explain again, these are what you use. You put your special quilting foot in to do the decorative details onto your quilts. So absolutely, this is where we started, and I wanted to make sure we showed you that again. So if you are buying your builder blocks and you're thinking, I'm buying my builder blocks because I want to do some quilting, then maybe this is something that you might want to add in as well. Right.
It's in that bundle, which is the closest one to you.
Yeah, look, there we go.
Yeah,
there.
that one. That's what I'm going to be using for this demo here at the moment. So taking out the packaging, you can see here, it's sort of frosted plastic here that you've got here, and it's got a bit of texture to it. And the reason for that is because we want it to grip onto the fabric slightly. We don't want it to be super smooth. So if it was like some of the other things that we've had before, it would slide over the fabric too easily, and we want to have a little bit of a grip. So this is what I'm going to be using. Now, the great thing about this is you can use it for lots of different things. When you're doing quilting, if I grab a few samples to show you, if you're making a quilt and you want to quilt it afterwards, there were a few options available to you. You could send it away.
Was that your tool tidy you're moving there, Becky?
This is my tool tidy. It's my tool tidy. And you can see, even though I've got a big pair of scissors in there, it's quite good. It's not going to fall. It's not going to fall. It might do. It might do when I flick this thing here. But you can see here, this is quite a simple quilt that's been put together. It's been quite simply done. In the past, if you wanted to quilt a quilt, so by quilting a quilt, I mean stitching over the top. So you've stitched together the patchwork, stitched together the fabric. So basically you're getting a big piece of fabric, you're cutting it into smaller pieces and you're stitching it together again. That's what you're doing when you're creating a patchwork. But you want to finish it off by doing a bit of quilting. So if we look on the side here, you've got round here, you've got this little border. Now in the past, you could either do that by marking it onto your fabric with a pen and then following the stitching lines, or you could send it away, or you could buy a long arm quilter and spend £13,000 on having a long arm quilter, and that would do it for you. But these guides allow you to make something that it's a little bit more sort of a bit more structured, and you get a better finish to it. So these are the kind of things that you can make. What we need to do first of all, before we even start using that, is we need to prepare our fabric. So with a quilt, we would want 2 pieces of fabric, a piece of backing fabric and a piece of, like the top piece of your quilt. So imagine this is a patchwork quilt that I've put together. And then this is my wadding or my batting. This is the stuff that if you're going to have a quilt, it's going to make it nice and warm. It's going to give it a bit of structure. Otherwise, you've just got 2 pieces of fabric together, and obviously they're a bit flimsy. So what you want to do is you want to create a sandwich. So when we talk about a sandwich, you'll hear me talking about this quite often. That's effectively what you're doing. This fabric is your bread, and this is your filling. This is your cream cheese. So this is what we're going to do to create a sandwich. So when you're creating the front of your quilt, you're doing that all over here, and then once you've finished that, you'd press it and you make sure everything was nice and straight, and then you would get your wadding, your batting, and you would put that in the middle, and then you would put your lining on the inside. And this is the bit where I said I would do this, and then I would put all these pins in it, or I would put some tacking strips, tacking stitches all the way across here and across here and across here and across here to stop it from moving. Now I don't bother. Now I use one of our sprays. So we have our permanent adhesive and we have our repositional adhesive. This is the one that I use, the repositional one. All I would do, and I am going to show you how to do it here, I would do that and it would fall apart. Hold on a minute. Just get the top of that, spray, and not spray it in my eye. So I'd fold back half of my fabric. I would put some tissue or newspaper down so it doesn't go all over my board, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. And I just do a light spray over here, and then I would smooth that out like that. Then I do exactly the same on this side, smooth it out, and then I'll flip it over this way. Same here.
So with reposition, would that effectively wash off on the first wash?
Well, yes, but you don't need to worry about it because you're going to be quilting it. So this is just a temporary fix. Yeah. It's just going to keep everything together whilst you're working on it. So as you saw, my wadding, my batting is untidy underneath here. It doesn't matter because I'd be trimming this off to start it all afresh. So it would look something like this. Once I've used it, so it will all look nice and tidy. The next thing I want to do is I want to use this. I want to have like a border of these hearts going across this fabric. But what I need to do is make sure it's nice and straight. So for that, you can either use a ruler or you could use our quilting pattern guide, which is this thing, again, this kind of frosted shape that you've got here. And what we would do here is we were just going to be marking everything out using our heat erasable pens. Now what I want to make sure I do is I have some horizontal and some vertical lines, so I can use those as a way of sort of measuring where everything is. I'm just looking for my
tidy. It's all tidy.
No, I couldn't see it's hiding behind my what's it called? My scissors. Thanks for helping me. My brain's not working today. I'm going to trim this end here so it's nice. I've got a straight edge, like so. So I'm going to use my ruler, if I can ever find anything. If you could see the devastation that is around me here, I've got so much stuff out. It is unreal. So many different samples, so many bits and pieces. It's crazy around here. So I'm just going to trim that across like that, using my ruler. So I've got a nice straight end here. And then I'm going to use this and I'm going to measure here. So I can have a little line going across here. So I can see where that is. And I'm going to have a line here as well. And I'm just going to move that across and just do that, just so I've got a few little points of reference for when I'm using that quilting guide. Again, just one like that. so I can see where everything is, and that's just going to help me. Now, obviously, this is a heat erasable pen, so it's going to disappear when I start heating it up. I'm not going to heat it up, but when I use the iron on it. And then you can see here, I've got my heart, and I've got these lines to measure up with. So I can keep this little grid line down here. If I keep my baseline on that grid line, it's going to mean that everything's kept more or less in the right kind of shape, right kind of place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start stitching this. Now, you do need a different type of foot when you're sewing with this. So what I've done here is I've changed my sewing machine, and I'm just going to grab a foot so you can see what that foot looks like. So I've already put one foot on the machine, but you can have different types of, and they're called darning feet or machine embroidery feet. So you can see they look quite different to the kind of feet that you see me using on other projects. So they've got this sort of circular point around them, and the needle will go in the middle of those. So that's one type of one, and this is another type of one which has got a spring in it. So that's particularly good when you're going through big things and you want to have something that's a bit sort of sprung loaded. And these will nestle within this shape here. And
so they're perfect size for the grooves,
yeah,
aren't
they just go around here. Now, what I would say is some machines, like Brother machines, for example, they're automatic machine foot that they come with, where their embroidery machine foot is not circular, it's oval, and that won't work. But you can buy like a universal circular foot for them. So if you do have a Brother machine, or do you have a machine that's got an oval foot, that will be harder to use. You possibly may be able to use it, but this is not what it's been made for. These are being made to work with that circular, completely circular foot. So that's what we're going to do here. Now, the other thing I would suggest that you do is if you've got quilting gloves, which are gloves that have little, almost sort of slightly, they've always got like a bit of silicone on them. They feel slightly tacky. They give you a little bit of grip. That's really useful to have if you've got one of those. If you haven't got one of those, it doesn't matter. And you need to drop the feed dogs on your sewing machine. So this sewing machine has a little piece here, which is what controls the feed dogs. And the feed dogs are these little grips that go underneath the fabric plate. And they're the things that go up as you're stitching, and they sort of lift the fabric and they move it like that. You don't want those on. You want those to be dropped completely.
Because you want to control the fabric.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start off in the middle, actually, so we can see where we are. Just going to line everything up. And I'm going to drop my foot like so. And then I'm just going to very carefully follow this around like so. And you can just stop when you feel that you need to stop.
Again, it's having that grip, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's having, oops, got it a bit stuck. If you get it a bit stuck, it doesn't matter, because you can just continue around, move it around a little bit more.
Do you tend to keep the fabric in one direction, or do you turn the fabric as well?
Hold on a minute. That didn't work. No, you can certainly turn the fabric into a different direction. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just try and work that. Let me just get that, because that thread just split while I was stitching it on it. Just give me 2 minutes to get that redone.
Okay. We've had a couple of questions saying, Michelle says, I was behaving so well, but I really want the alphabet, and the added tools only make it more enticing. Well, that's what we put these bundles together. Rosalind says, I'm saving this video in my reference file. Well done. Now, a couple of questions. I don't know if you can answer questions while you're putting that right, Becky.
Yeah. I could do it.
Will consistently using paper dies with the metal fabric dies dull the cutting edges of the dies?
No. They shouldn't do, because you're going to be putting on, as the die goes down, it's going onto metal. It's a little bit like, we're talking about the scissors.
Yeah.
As the metal goes onto the metal, it shouldn't make any difference. So
Brilliant.
I've used...
And you're changing the pressure anyway, aren't you?
You are.
So...
I've used those applique dies, the letters, for fabric and for paper, and they've been absolutely fine for both.
Brilliant. And then Crafty Angie says, Corrine, what is that thing on the bottom in the middle? And I was like, bottom and the middle. She's talking about this one here. Let's see if I can get it without destroying the pack shot completely. Now, this is called 6-in-1 Quilting Pattern Guide. So, while Becky's doing it, I think it's exactly, my view is, it's exactly the same as the other guides, but it's a 6-in-1, so it's got lots of different patterns. Is that right, Becky?
That's exactly right.
There
you got it right.
So it's going to allow you to create lots and lots of different patterns in there when Becky's not concentrating, trying to throw. But I don't know how close Jamie can get, but you can do lots and lots of different patterns all the way down there, look. Different quilting, you know, look at this. I mean, that would look gorgeous if you've got a plain pattern that you could then create this gorgeous flower embellishment, or these sort of like circles within it. So yeah, so who was that? That was Crafty Angie. It is like, it's the same as your other ones, but instead of having a groove to follow, you've got an edge to follow. There we go. So that was that. Couple of questions for you, but I can see Becky's just concentrating on
I've just got a little bit of a problem with the foot. I just need to try and get the screw in. My finger's a little bit too fat to get the screw in, so that's all I'm trying to do at the moment.
Leave you
so
to that.
Give me a moment and I'll be with you.
While she's just doing that, and then we've got the pictures from Rosalind. So here is it. Wow, Rosalind, I thought you said you were a novice. Wow, it's like an advent calendar.
That's lovely.
Christmas elements. That is absolutely gorgeous. So that, I don't know whether that's a plique or whether that's quilting, but whatever it is, it looks amazing. Oh, we've got another picture as well. We have, no, that was a product description. There we go. Oh, this is from Moira. Look at that. I love that bag. And she's made her own little flowers to go on it.
Oh, so that's the scallop-edged bag, isn't it?
Scalloped edge bag, says our Becky. There we go.
Very nice.
Oh, and another one. We've got some more. Oh, lovely little clutch bag. Oh, I like that. That looks like it might be suedette or something, possibly. Look, she's got her Crafter's Companion clips there, look. Crafter's Companion all the way. We've got a couple more. You've been loving sending in your pictures today. Thank you. Oh, Moira again. Ah, look. Is that the Threader's Bunny? I like him.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
He's gorgeous. Loving that. And then our final one is another bag. Oh, I like that again. Moira's busy, isn't she? Look at that with the curved edge on the top and that. That's impressive. And I get the feeling she's even made the straps for the bag. Really, really good. Right, Becky, have you got that foot on?
I hope so. I hope I've got that foot on. Right, so I'm going to start again. So I'm just, I'm moving my fabric as well as my my little guide, and you're moving it around. We're just following around the outside.
There we go. While you're doing that, Nancy says, is the foot you're using universal? She has a genome. Thank you in advance. Ah, that's what my mum's got, a genome.
So the one I've got at the moment, so we do have them, we sell our own. I do have, this is a universal one, I think, that I'm using at the moment. But I do also have some other ones. So sometimes your manufacturers will have their own particular ones for you to use, and sometimes you'll find that it's actually just as good to buy a generic one. It's entirely up to you. It's one of those things that you just see what works for you. So you can see I've just stitched around there, not particularly well, but no one's going to know. And then all you would do, you would just continue carrying on.
Yeah.
So you just mark all those shapes on there, and you could do sort of alternate. So you could do around the larger one, and then you could do around the smaller one.
Yeah, that
and
would
that
look
creates
nice.
Those kind of designs. And you do get a really nice effect. If we just find that quilt that we had before, you can see how that looks around the edge here.
This is quite hard to show you in speed, they're not something
It's one of those things. What I would recommend you do, if you do it at home, don't have a TV camera pointing at you, because it's a little bit practice, and loosen up your shoulders like this.
Relax, take a deep breath.
Yeah, That's what you do. And actually, I would say sit down when you're doing it, because you want to, free motion machine embroidery, because that's effectively what you're doing. It's almost like free motion machine embroidery, but you're using a little bit of a guide. It takes a little bit of a movement. You've got to move around in order to get that pattern, but you can see how effective that looks using that. And that's just by using your ordinary standard machine, not using your long arm and quilting machine or having to send it anywhere in particular.
Joanne says, Becky, thank you for the fantastic demos on all of the builder blocks. Love the glue tip. Always have trouble with curves, not only with quilting, but also sewing in general. And I think we all can confirm what Joanne says. Thank you, Becky. This has been so educational. We love bringing you education at the weekend. It might have felt a bit bitty, but we're trying to show you how to use things, what you've got, and how to get the most out of them. And I've just loved seeing what Becky's shown us, and it's felt achievable, and I hope that's what you've picked up from at home, that these things are achievable even with a bit of practice. Our Nicola in my ear, she's going to have a go. Janine Emery says, nice project, so much talent. I've already said Rosalind is saving this video for her reference library.
Great.
One very last quick question before we disappear. Becky or anyone else, have you ever made a quilt where you added batting and top stitch each square first, then sewed together and added your binding?
Yeah, so that is your quilt as you go quilt, which I really like doing, because you can just work on small pieces. So yeah, that's a really nice thing to do.
There you go.
Google, if you've never done it before, have a look online. There will be videos for you to do quilt as you go. We've also got a quilt as you go. I think we had kits to do like a little mug coasters a little while ago.
Type
but that's a great thing
quilt
to do.
as you go, and then you should be able to find that. We've given you loads and loads of deals today. We've had our showstopper deal, which gave you your alphabet. We've given you your Builder Block Plus. We've given you some extra ones with some amazing 50% discount, 70% discount. I'm looking at them all down here. There are more of those guides if that bundle doesn't do that. I've not had time to show you, but go on to your website. So that's crafterscompanion.com.co.uk or .eu, and you will see all of the deals under our Shop the Day button. So go and have a look on there. There are loads and loads of deals, and there are some amazing deals. Like I say, up to 70-80% off some of the deals. Please go and have a look. Please come back and watch this show again and get some of the more of the top tips from Becky. Just like, you know, how to do your curves, use your glue, how to do your quilting, the different feet, or, you know, even down to things like how do you know if you're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Hopefully I've asked the right questions for you. If you've got any more, we've got Craft Along coming up at 6 p.m, 1 p.m. East Coast time. Becky will be crafting, and while she's doing, if there are any questions, I can fire them at her. I think I'm going to be sitting down and just watching and enjoying Becky do this.
You're so not. I've got another sewing machine. You're going to stitching at the same time.
You're not putting another sewing machine over here, love. Not at all. So we're going to go off and have some tea, because Tracy's ordered some tea for us to come in. So we shall be all nice and full of tea and ready to go at 6 p.m. Like I say, 1 p.m. East Coast time. So please come back and join us for Crafter's Companion first ever sewing craft along. Not to be missed. See you then.